This is Entertainment for Review, and today I'm going to be reviewing another episode of The Big Bang Theory. Today's episode is Season 3, Episode 18, The Pants Alternative. This episode is so titled because Sheldon takes an alternative to wearing pants, and that is not wearing pants. Why would he do that? Well, we'll get to that. The episode starts off in the cafeteria with Leonard, Howard, and Sheldon having a conversation about Avatar, James Cameron movie. And that's not too important, but it leads to Sheldon asking a very important question, which is this. And this is a question that has bothered me for a long time. Why was William Shatner not in the 2009 Star Trek movie? They had Leonard Nimoy, why not bring Shatner in too? And this might not affect the plot of this episode really, but it's a question I will always ask. When Leonard joins the group for lunch, he says that he was in the administrative offices and he overheard something. They have a Chancellor's Award for Science, and he overheard who's going to be the winner this year, and it turns out it's going to be Sheldon. Sheldon is happy to hear this news, although he feels he should have received the award sooner. Later, when they're back in the apartment, they're all watching a movie, and they all have 3D glasses, except for Raj, who didn't buy a Slurpee from 7-Eleven, so didn't get 3D glasses. Sheldon strikes me as the kind of person who would have extra pairs of 3D glasses around. It also fits his personality that he wouldn't want to share them with others. Sheldon gets a call about his award, and he finds out that he has to give a speech when he accepts the award, which he does not want to do. But if he doesn't give a speech, he will forfeit the award. Penny comes in, bringing Sheldon a piece of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, and the group begins discussing this issue, and they point out that Sheldon has spoken in front of groups before. And Sheldon says he has no problem speaking in front of small groups, but he does have a fear of speaking in front of large crowds. He even gives a specific number. He doesn't want to be in front of a crowd that he feels could trample him to death, and he says that's around 36 adults or 70 children. He says the last time he tried to do so, he ended up passing out, and then he passes out in the room just from the thought of it. Next, we see Sheldon talking to his mother and says he's not going to be able to accept the award because of this inability of public speaking. When he gets back to his apartment, the rest of the gang is waiting for him to discuss this with him further. They all basically say they want to be his support team, contribute what they can to help him try to get through it. They say they want to be like the X-Men to Charles Xavier. And of course doesn't think they're all smart enough to help him. Each have something to contribute. Penny wants to take him shopping to buy a new suit to help give him confidence. Raj wants to teach him some Hindu meditation techniques. Leonard is offering to give him some therapy. And Howard says he's just going to continue to pretend that he cares about Sheldon's piddly problems. They ask him if they can be his X-Men, and Sheldon says no, because he's not Charles Xavier, he's Sheldon Cooper, so they will be his C-Men. Which does make sense, but is just an unfortunate play on words. So Raj is up first. He's trying to teach Sheldon the meditation. But of course, Sheldon being Sheldon is making it very difficult, and Raj ends up getting frustrated enough to the point that he just leaves the apartment, and Sheldon says he knew that meditation was all hokum. Next, we see Penny taking Sheldon to the mall to go shopping for a suit. She picks out one that she thinks would be pretty nice. Sheldon says that it's only one color, and that's a lot of money for just one color. He then picks a suit that's from the prom department, and it's a solid white suit that is pretty foolish looking. Penny then instead tells him to go try on the one that she picked out, and that's the one he ends up going with. And the last one of the C-men to attempt to help is Leonard. He decides to try to give Sheldon some therapy, but Sheldon ends up turning it around on him and ends up giving Leonard a bit of a therapy session, as Leonard tried to give an example to help Sheldon see what he was meaning, but instead ended up talking about a traumatic memory from his past and continuing down that road. And this has some lasting effects for Leonard, because we finally arrive at the Chancellor's Award ceremony, and Leonard is up there to introduce Sheldon, and as he's doing so, he keeps bringing up things about his strained relationship with his mother. As it's getting closer and closer for Sheldon to go on stage, he says he can't do this and says he's starting to feel lightheaded, like he's going to pass out. Penny hands him a glass of wine and tells him to drink this and says it'll calm him down, and he says he doesn't drink alcohol.
I'm going to faint.
Right here, drink this. It'll relax you.
Alcohol? I don't drink alcohol.
Fine, faint.
In fact, this is the first episode I believe that we do see Sheldon under the effects of alcohol. He says the first glass didn't do anything, so Penny gives him another. And eventually he drinks enough that he does feel the confidence to go up on stage, and then he begins to give a disaster of a speech. And next we jump to the next morning at the apartment with Leonard and Penny in the kitchen, and Sheldon comes wandering out wearing his suit still, only the top part of his suit, not wearing any pants. How did he end up without his pants? Well, Leonard says he needs to check YouTube. So Sheldon does go over and check YouTube. He finds the video of his speech, and he sees that in part of his speech he started talking about pants, and in part of the speech he removed his pants, some sort of example to what he was saying. And Sheldon doesn't think it could get any worse from there, but of course it could.
Astronomers in the audience, get ready to see the dark side of the moon. And here's Uranus.
Because we then would get the implication that Sheldon decided to moon the audience. And we end the episode with Sheldon sitting in his shocked state, and Leonard and Penny laughing. So Sheldon got an award he deserved, but ended up getting drunk and making a fool of himself in the process of accepting it. So thoughts on this episode? I do like this episode. I think it's pretty funny. It is telling that even though Sheldon is very annoying and gets on everybody's nerves a lot of the time, when he gets into a situation where he is in need, his friends are willing to rise up and come to his aid. Howard might have been a little less willing. He doesn't really do anything to help, but he does at least pretend that he cares. And I feel like, honestly, if asked to do something, he would have. As I said, this is the first episode where we get to see Sheldon under the effects of alcohol, because Sheldon does not normally drink. It seems almost similar to Raj, garage under the effects of alcohol, he becomes a little obnoxious and really just loses a lot of his inhibitions. It's a little unfortunate that Sheldon had to make a fool of himself in front of a crowd like this, but Sheldon does need a few moments like this to knock him down a few pegs every once in a while because, as you see most of the time in this show, Sheldon is pretty high and mighty. Not in a malicious way, but it's just how he is. Even though it was under the effects of alcohol, it's nice to get to see a different side of Sheldon from the rigid Sheldon that we're normally used to seeing. As always, even in this moment of Sheldon's weakness, Jim Parsons does an excellent job of portraying this character in every moment. And this episode is all Sheldon. Nobody else really gets any spotlight in this episode. This is a solid episode that I would score at a 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments section. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for my next video coming soon.